we go. All right, good. So here's a picture of me. And now I'm going to tell you the story. People came late. I want to explain to the people. People came late, and because they came late, so they requested I do something more. So I'm going to do something. Oh, here's a good story. Here's a good story. It was in the time of the third Rebbe of Chabad. His name was the Tzemach Tzedek of Menachem Mendel. And it was Passover. Passover was approaching, and a large group of Chassidim decided that they wanted to be by the Rebbe for Passover. It was unusual, but they decided. It was like a 5-day journey. Nowadays, you get on a plane, a boat, or something. You're there the next day. A plane, you're there in a couple hours. But it was a long, torturous journey that they had to make along. And so they finally made it. But to the great disappointment, the Rebbe was very busy and he couldn't see anyone. So they had the Passover with themselves. They made the meal. I don't know if they came with their wives together, but in any case, the whole holiday went by. And finally, in the end, the Rebbe agreed to see them. So they all went in to see the Rebbe. There was like 20 of them or something. And the Rebbe said, what would you rather I say, a mimer, in other words, a Chassidic discourse, or a story? So they said a story. Maybe they were simpler people or whatever, but in any case, they said they wanted a story. So he said, okay, I'll tell you a story. The story is that once there was, and they're all sitting listening, the Tzemach Tzedek is saying the story. He says, once there was a Chassid. It was not a Chabad Chassid, it was a Chassid of some other Rebbe. And he was a very rich man, and he had a lot of lands. And he had on his lands, one second, excuse me. Okay. There was also an inn, like a little tavern, that he rented it out to a Jew, and this Jew also happened to be a Chassid, a follower of the same Rebbe. This is a simple Jew. The man had like 7, 8 children, and he rented out this inn, and above the inn was a place where he could live with his family, and so he rented out the inn. And he had to pay him monthly. But the weather, all of a sudden the weather got bad, or whatever reason it was, and very few people came, to the point where this simple Jew, simple Chassid, was not able to pay the rent. Month after month passed, and he just had excuses, and his boss, the rich Jew, was understanding. And finally, the year passed by, and he said, "Okay, pay me for in 2 months. Pay me." The year passed by. He owed him 12 months' rent, and he couldn't pay. And so he said, "Listen." The rich Jew said to the landlord, said to the simple Jew, "Listen, I see it's not going for you here. You haven't got any luck. I'm willing to forget the whole entire debt, and I'm even willing to pay for your moving, but I think you should leave. You have to leave." So the simple Jew said, "Okay, could be. Listen, but I want to make it work. I don't know if it's going to work somewhere else. I looked around. There's no other. Let's go to the Rebbe and ask him." So the rich Jew said, "Fair enough." They went to the Rebbe, and the Rebbe said, "Give him another year." So they went to he gave him another year, and they figured the Rebbe gave him a blessing. Everything's going to be okay. And it wasn't okay. The weather got worse and fewer people came, and month after month went by, and the person just didn't. So the owner said to him, "Listen, 2 years have gone by. We've seen the Rebbe already. I'm willing to forego 2 years of rent, but I see it's just not working with you. It's not working. Up to now, it's worked very well. I'll pay for your move to another town. I'll even willing to pay for your first month's rent in another town where you are. but it's not. There's no chemistry over here. It's some reason or other. It's not working in this place. I want you to leave, and I'll bring somebody else. He says, let's go to see the Rebbe again. He says, I don't want to see the Rebbe. It's just, I'm telling you, I'm a businessman. I understand what's happening. So he finally said, okay. So they went to the Rebbe, and the Rebbe said, give him another year. And sure enough, and he gave him a blessing, and sure enough, this third year was just like the other 2 years. Business was terrible. He barely had enough money just to buy food for his family. And the rich man came to the poor man and said, that's it. He said, that's it. 3 years in a row. 3 years is what's called a chazaka. It's like it's a certainty. It's not working. Forget about all the debts. Forget about 3 years. I'm willing to forget about the whole thing. I'll bring movers. I'll bring over. I'll even give you. I'll pay for your 1 month's rent, and I'll even give you money for your sustenance for a month. And please, you have to leave. He says, let's go to see the Rebbe. No, enough. I've seen the Rebbe twice, 3 times, and I'm losing money from this place. And nothing is coming out of it, and there's no reason for you to stay here. There's no reason to stay here. And not only do you just the rent, you owe me rent for the place. I'm willing to forget about that also. So he brought workers and he brought wagons, and he moved them out, and he even found them a place in a nearby town. And he found them a place, and he even found them some sort of a job or whatever it is. And he gave money, and that's it. Well, this poor person, when he got to the other place, so the job didn't last too long, and his rent ended, and the new landlord was not as understanding as previously. So eventually they found themselves out on the street, and the children had to be taken care of by others, and the man died from a broken heart, and his wife shortly thereafter, and the children were all scattered around, and they're all orphans and everything. No. The rich man went up to heaven, and they said, hell. The messenger said, why? Said, because of you kicked that person out of your place. As because of that, he died, his wife died, now there's all these children orphaned. Said, I don't know, what do you want from me? I don't understand. I said, I forewent, whatever it is. I forgot about 3 months of rent. You didn't have to pay anything for me. How could I possibly be guilty? Why should I go? They said, why? Because you had a Rebbe, you should have gone and asked him. I said, but I already asked him 3 times. I don't understand. I'm supposed to listen. That doesn't make any difference. You're a Chassid. You're in this world to serve God. Your Rebbe knows how you should have served God. You're not here for yourself. You should have gone to the Rebbe. So he said, listen, I want a din Torah. I want you can't just throw out a decision like that. I want to plead my case in front of a court. They said, okay, you can go in front of the heavenly court. He said, no. What's the heavenly court? The heavenly court, they're angels, souls, the holy, high people. They don't understand about money. What's money? The pressures of money in the world, the great sacrifice I made 3 years. He said, okay, you know what? He said, in heaven. So what do you say? We'll make a case from people that lived in the world. We'll have the Beis Yosef, and we'll have the Ramah and the Rambam. They'll be your court. And the man said, listen, the Beit Yosef, the Rambam, these people have been dead for hundreds of years. They don't understand the frustrations and the aggravation from this world. I want my case to be brought to a living court in this world, in the physical world, to living people. And the Chassidic is telling this to these people. And he said, and his wish was granted. So he looks at all the people, the Chassidic says, I say that he's innocent. He should be allowed to go into heaven. What do you say? Suddenly these people realized that the story is happening right now, and that they're the court. And they all said, innocent, Zakai. And the Chassidic said, that's the story. In other words, they were deciding the fate of, it was a real thing that really happened, and they were deciding the fate of this person. It came down to them personally. So it is also with all the stories and all the Maimorim Chassidus. We have to take it personally that it's really happening to us right now, and that we need Mashiach right now. Have a good day with Mashiach now. Thank you very much for coming. Shalom ubracha. At 3:00 there's going to be a class. Anybody who wants to, and I'm going to put up more classes on the YouTube. So, shalom ubracha.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
I added it to the group, and